观众朋友，大家好，我是严克映，非常谢谢大家来收看我们音乐世界的节目。我们今天要继续采访北伊利诺州立大学的钢琴系主任 Dr. Goldenberg。我们最后一个问题要请教他的，其实也是跟这个有关，因为我们刚才谈到，就是说，主修钢琴的这些学生毕了业以后呢，他们应该是要如何的一个他们有怎么样的一个前途，怎么样发展？但是 Dr. Goldenberg 说，如果要像朗朗一样那其实是真的是很少。他刚说全世界大概只有40个人、50个人可以这样做，所以一般来讲，我们鼓励小孩子学习钢琴，那是因为我自己本身呢，我认为钢琴学习非常的重要，它可以开发小孩子的智力，但是它的读谱训练左脑右脑，就是说它跟手的一个 coordination。然后呢，刚才Dr. Goldenberg 也有说到，就说在你的一个 spiritually， 你的一个个人的 emotionally 的一个表达，这个都是等于是一个全人的一个发展。所以我想就这个最后一个 part， 我们就是希望请教他，到底小孩子学习钢琴在他的人生上面，他的 life 上面可以有怎么样的一个获益，也就是说。So kids, how can they benefit from practicing piano?
Yeah, I heard you speaking about that. I do think music is, and I always tell my students too, even if they do not become a professional musician, they learn a huge amount by studying piano and music in general. And there are many things you learn from music. And there are things you can't learn in other disciplines. For example, mathematics or science or whatever else. You can train your brain in mathematics or studying history or science. You can train yourself to think, we call it critical thinking in the United States. Now, it's a popular word, but it just means you can think rationally and use your brain the best that it's capable of being used to think logically.
And also the music reading pianist is much harder. We have the right hand, left hand.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But that's what you can learn from other disciplines. But in music, we do that. We think logically and rationally in how music is put together, what the structure and the form of it is, and what makes it tick, what makes it work. We think rationally about that, but we also learn feelings. I would say I have learned feelings from composers like Brahms. I think of Brahms especially, and Bach I think of especially. I don't think I ever, even from my own life experience, and I'm 61 now, I don't think I ever would have learned the feelings that I've had playing Brahms and Bach in particular. Beethoven a bit also, but particularly I think of those two composers for some reason. I've learned new insights from those people about my feelings and what I am as a human being. Also, we move physically when we play, and we learn how to move in many different ways by playing music and feeling the way the music moves and expresses. And I actually think that my body moves better because I've learned to play the piano. I've learned physical ways of being in the world that I never would have learned if I did not study piano playing. And spiritual, as I heard you talking about. Some music is so deep that, well, I just played Beethoven's 4th piano concerto with an orchestra here, and I definitely feel I learned things from playing that music that spiritually as well as emotionally that I never would have learned from any other piece. And it's just wonderful what you can learn from music. In addition to that, you learn social aspects. You learn, in chamber music, you learn cooperation with other people. And that applies to every job you will ever have. Even if you become, even if all you do is collect garbage, for example, for the rest of your life, if that's your job, which is an important job, by the way. We need somebody to collect the garbage. But you learn to cooperate with other people in music. And you need that if you're going to collect garbage on a garbage truck. Or anything you do, you have to work with other people. So children can learn that. Another thing you learn from music, and everybody talks about this, you learn discipline. You have to, if you want to play the piano, I always tell my students, it's a little different than other subjects. Some students at our university, when they have an exam, they don't do anything. The night before, they try, we call it cramming. They try to stay up all night and learn everything the night before. You can learn a little bit that way, and maybe you can pass the exam. But you cannot cram for your piano exam or your concert. You cannot learn to play the piano the night before your concert. It's impossible. So you have to practice and work every day a little bit. You must work at your piano playing. And as she was saying in a different segment, it's like meditating. Yeah. You do it over and over and over again, and something inside of you develops. Right. That's one day to the next. You do it, you go to sleep. You do it, you eat something, you do something else, you come back to playing the piano. And it develops, it surprises you that after you've practiced for 5 hours or something, you come back the next day or 2 days later, suddenly there it is. It works in your body. You learn a lot.
Actually, I just want to say in Chinese, because I think this kind of discipline, just like I say Buddhist, we need to have this kind of practice. So, just like what you say, you did many times, and then something will come out. That is 我们在中文讲叫做量变到质变。所以说，我们觉得钢琴的学习对小孩子是非常重要的。所谓 discipline， 然后他能够有定力，有恒心，能够专心，然后呢又能开发他的智力。所以这些东西，我想是做任何的行业都必须要具备的。所以我觉得小孩子学钢琴最重要的，并不是说一定要当怎么样的一个 pianist。而是经过这样子的一个 process， 一个 learning 的一个所谓的过程，能够运用在将来他的学习上面。我相信他们能够，如果钢琴弹得好，他在任何方面做任何事情，也相信他能够一定做得很成功。所以呢，我们认为学习钢琴，小孩子可以从这上面得到很多的好处。那我想请教一下 Dr. Goldenberg。So Dr. Goldenberg, what do you think the kids, like what you just said, do not spiritually or emotionally, but still, what do you think they can benefit from? And you mentioned probably like consciousness of this kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, we were just speaking a little bit about one of the most important things you can learn about learning. And about how we learn, right, basically, is what we were talking about. Because when you study the piano, you learn to move your fingers, which fingers to use maybe, and how you feel when you play, and how the music is structured intellectually, rationally, or logically. We learn all those things. They're important. We learn to cooperate with other people. But you also learn that when you patiently, in a disciplined way, work on the music every day over and over again, your body, your whole being, all of this, will work on the music even though your conscious mind, your thinking mind, doesn't know how it happens. Your brain and your whole body will work on whatever you've been working on when you're asleep. It'll work on it when I'm walking in the park, when I'm sitting at the library, if I'm going to a movie. Your body works on what you've put into it. And you can practice 4 hours in a day, and it seems like nothing happened, no progress, and then you go to sleep, and you wake up the next day,
Suddenly,
everything comes
Exactly.
right out of you what you wanted because your body and your brain unconsciously or subconsciously worked on it. We can't see or know about everything that happens in your brain. And so what you learn is, you learn to trust yourself. Your whole body and your brain will work for you, or you trust God, or whatever you want to call it. Life. You trust life is the way I like to say it the most. But some people decide that they want to trust Jesus, or they want to trust Buddha, or they want to trust Muhammad, or Moses, or whichever religion. But you end up learning to trust that life will figure out how to work itself out eventually, if you keep working on it patiently. So you learn discipline. And that's something, when you're a child, of course, at first you're impatient and you want everything all at once, and you don't trust that quite. But you learn by practicing and playing music that that's how things work in the world.
对，Dr. Goldenberg 讲的非常的有道理。事实上呢，我们这个也就是所常讲的，就是量变到质变。所以说小孩子学习钢琴，就像他刚才所说的，因为我们是depend on muscle memory， 但是在这个过程当中呢，慢慢的，因为你能够就是事实上也是一种 meditation， 慢慢的你可以把你的主意识都放掉。主意识放掉的时候呢，你的潜意识就出来了。潜意识出来的时候，事实上我们认为这是真正你能够所谓 hook up with God，or 就是天人合一，也就是所谓的你的真正的智慧会显现。所以我们一直在讲身心灵是一体的。所以也希望大家收看我们身心灵的节目，在这方面我们会有深入的探讨。我们今天所要讲的，也就是小孩子为什么要学钢琴。这我们相信呢，小孩子经过这样的锻炼会受益匪浅。所以谢谢大家，也谢谢 Dr. Goldenberg。
谢谢。